So there are lots of people with a diagnosis. Tons. 1/4 of 25% of all Americans have a diagnosis. That's huge. If we actually look at all the people that have a diagnosis that are mentally ill and have regular diagnoses or other diagnoses like leukemia, diabetes, I'd probably say 60 or 70% of the population has got a diagnosis. So bottom line, just because you have a diagnosis, it doesn't matter what it is. You have the possibility to change. And that's something I want to really bring into your hearts today, is it doesn't matter what you have. You just have to change how you think about it. I have people coming into my office taking 20 Vicodin a day. It's unbelievable. So that they can stay in a relationship that's dysfunctional. It's really, it's tough out there. But these are things that we need to transform. Yes, you don't need to take 20 Vicodin a day in order to stay in your relationship. You need to get off of that, deal with your underlying depression, and move forward in your life. So what I want to say to you is change is life. We all get caught in the illusion that our life is going to go in the direction that we want it to go. Well, how many of you have had your life go in the direction that you want it to go? Probably none of you, right? But we all get caught in this sort of thinking that we're immortal and nothing's going to happen to us. There's something about the way that we think about life, or we're not taught in this from a cultural perspective, that life is about change. It's about, you know, having different adaptive skills. The more adaptive we are, the better it is that we are. And we have to learn how to maneuver through change. And I think as a culture, Americans, Canadians, and a lot of different countries don't maneuver through change, don't know how to maneuver through change. John Lennon said a really great thing, and I love John Lennon. I'm sure many of you can relate to him. Life is something that happens to you while you're busy making other plans. And we know that's certainly very true. The first thing about change is acknowledging and taking responsibility for what's going on in your life. And it doesn't matter what it is, you're in a dysfunctional relationship that leads to depression or whatever, that you have to take responsibility and own what it is that you want to change. Once you take responsibility, change can happen. Think of change as adventurous, as exciting, as enlightening, as invigorating, as transformational. If we had this imprint in our head every single day, our lives would actually, we'd move about in the world so much easier than when we do. If we just have the flexibility of how we do things. Now I'm going to talk about 3 kinds of change. The first kind of change is expected change. And expected change is you go through the lifespan, you go to school, you go to college, you get married, you get a baby, you get a divorce, you get married again, you get a baby, you get divorced, and then you get married again. Okay, I know right now there's multiple marriages and that's becoming more and more common. But we have a lifespan that we go through, and you know, there's all kinds of changes, and the treadmill never stops. You know, I just had a birthday, and it's shocking to look at my driver's license to see how old I am. But it's really, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to me, it's shocking, you know, that it never stops as you continue getting older. It just keeps on going. So change is life. So that's expected change. There's also change as a personal choice. You all have a choice to change. And choice is like, for example, choosing to go into treatment. I work a lot with dual diagnosis. So choosing to take care of your life, choosing to go into therapy and see a psychologist, choosing to eat better, choosing to go to the health food store and eat organically. These are choices that people make. Choosing to take vitamins, choosing to go see a homeopath. These are personal choices. But then we have the unexpected choices. And those are the ones, as a culture, we are not hardly ever prepared for. Those are earthquakes. We're in California. We're never really prepared, no matter how many, times we're told to be prepared. We're never prepared for them. Tsunamis, hurricanes, getting a diagnosis, right? We're never prepared for any of these changes. Well, I want you to get, you got to be prepared for everything, because this is life. This is what happens. How many of you like change here? One? How many of you don't like change? Right, most people don't like change. And when you're caught and you're stuck in those ways, it's much harder to live. So, again, to fear change is to fear the very essence of life. And what I want you to do is I want you to learn how to dance with life. I want you to be a willow in the wind. I want you to be flexible. I want you to partake in it 100%. Whatever is thrown at you. And we've all been thrown with curveballs. Who here has never had a curveball in their life? No one, right? All of us. Every single one of us get curveballs. Some more, some less. But we have to deal with them, and we have to dance with them. If you cannot change your diagnosis, all you can do is change your relationship to your diagnosis. So what that means is, if you have schizophrenia or OCD or whatever, and you're thinking of your diagnosis as something really negative, then it can go nowhere. You have to think of it as, what are the opportunities that I have because of my diagnosis that I would never have if I didn't have this diagnosis? It's a different way of thinking. It's a different way of being in the world. This wonderful example of Michael J. Fox, and you all know him. He did all those movies, Back to the Future. Remember him? He has Parkinson's, and I've often seen him on, I think Larry King was the last time that I saw him, and maybe he's been on Pierce Morgan, but I don't know. But he's extraordinary because he talks about his Parkinson's as a gift. It is a gift that made him grow in a different direction and made him make different choices than he's ever made in his life. And so is that true for schizophrenia. So is that true for OCD. So is that true for major depression. So is that true for a bipolar disorder. So when you get a diagnosis, I want your perception to change. I want your worldview to be different. I know you have to take medicine, but I really believe in an integrative approach. I'm just like you, Sharon, totally into vitamin therapy, homeopathy, nutrition therapy, amino acid therapy. I want you to think of your diagnosis as being on a hero's journey. It is a different journey, a different perspective if you choose to engage in it. The hero usually has a struggle. In the case of NAMI and the people that are part of NAMI, in whichever way, whether you're the families or you're someone that is diagnosed, you've got to think about it as a hero's journey. That you are going to have to deal with the dark and shadow aspects of life, and through the cycle of life and death and redemption and salvation, so that you can recover the internal flame that has been dimmed by your diagnosis. This is a hero's journey or a heroine's journey. You've got to think of it as that. I was here a few times to hear the speakers at NAMI, and this particular night there were some people that were members of NAMI and members of the groups, and they all had their diagnosis and they were telling their stories. And there was one particular man, they all touched me in some way, but this one gentleman, he brought, and he wanted to tell his story through the products that helped his symptoms. So he actually brought all the products and was telling us about all the products that helped him. So as I was sitting and listening to him, he was telling us the story about how his mouth got so dry he could barely talk. And so he found some toothpaste that really helped him. So I thought, isn't that interesting? And he talked about it and how it made the difference in his life. As you would know it, because I believe nothing happens, everything happens for a reason. 2 or 3 days later in my office, someone was telling me, oh my God, my mouth is so dry. And there it was. I said, you know, please go to CVS or Thrifty's and go get the toothpaste that can actually help your symptoms of dry mouth. So it was extraordinary. So I want to thank that gentleman that was here, because he was a hero that day for me and for my clients, because he made her life better. I did not know that, and now I do. So hearing your stories, I mean, sharing our stories with each other is really, really important. It helps us to grow and have more knowledge. And there she is, the beautiful Catherine Zeta-Jones, April of 2011, announced that she has bipolar 2. She got treatment, she went into the hospital, I believe, for a week's stay. She came out, she got better, and she's starring in 2 movies. So she took her diagnosis, got treatment. I've just read about her, I've never treated her or anything like that. But she took a negative experience and made it, who cares? I'm doing my movies, I'm managing my symptoms, and I'm moving forward in my life. That's a great role model for all of us. Mentorship. You must have a mentor of some sort. And the reason I like mentors is because mentors take us out of our stuck way of thinking, and they move us to a different place. My first mentor was a Chinese acupuncturist who really changed the way that I thought about life and healthcare. So he took me out of my model and opened me up to a whole new world of healing, which I did not know. And believe me, 35 years ago in northern Canada, you know, acupuncture was not the going treatment. But he really opened me up and opened my life. And so I encourage all of you to get mentors, and mentors that are different than who you are, because you will grow from them. And the other thing I want you all to get is a courage coach. Having a courage coach is one of the most important things, because they help you to get your goals in place. They'll help you to stay on task and to move you forward in your goals. Very, very important. You know, think of all those athletes who grew up in the Midwest to win Olympic medals. None of them could have won Olympic medals if they did not have a coach. You need a team. This is a team of people that anybody with a diagnosis needs, and families that are dealing with someone who has a diagnosis needs. So you need a team, you need a community, and you have an extraordinary community here in NAMI, which provides you with free seminars, which is really amazing. I'm thrilled to be standing here today and being one of the speakers that NAMI has, because they're a great organization that really helps people to transform their lives.